Helen Thomas has covered the White House for 50 years, but it only took a matter of days for the 90-year-old White House reporter to step down from her job last year after her controversial remarks about Israel went public. But Thomas was not out of the game for long. She's back at work as a columnist for Falls Church News Press. With me now is Helen Thomas. Welcome to the show, Helen.
Thank you.
Okay, before I talk about Israel, because we're going to talk about that, I'm sure you're looking forward to that.
Oh,
but
yes.
I have to tell you, that I admired you. I admire you even now for the many things that you did in those press conferences, how you stood up to presidents, how you spoke out, particularly on the Iraq War, which I was vehemently against myself. And one of the reasons that I liked Obama was that he was against the Iraq War.
Almost.
Well, he was against it. I mean, I think that he ran on that. But,
well, let's see it fulfilled.
Well, I think he was handed something, too. So I always expect the best from him.
I never have sympathy for presidents. They aren't handed it. He could have walked out the day after he took the oath.
Well, I guess so, but I don't know if, what happened to if you break it, you have to fix it,
It's broken.
It was broken, so we had an obligation to stay there, no?
No, you just get out. How did he go in?
Well, he didn't go in. It was George Bush who went in.
Yes, he is, but he didn't have to stay there.
Okay, well, that's another conversation we could have, but how did you do that? How were you able to speak out the way you did without feeling, uncomfortable about it?
Because they're only presidents, and they're elected by us at behest of the American people, so I don't feel they're kings, they're not emperors, and we don't have to pay any more homage to them, but just plain respect.
Right. Okay. All right.
I don't have to be cowing to them.
You don't have to kowtow to anybody, especially someone who's a public servant, which is the president. I agree with that.
We pay them.
That's true. Now, but the downside of being outspoken is sometimes you get in trouble. I can relate because I've gotten into trouble over my career also.
Congratulations.
Yes, and thank you. I mean, when you have a big mouth, you're going to get in trouble. And my mother used to say, good luck with your mouth.
But that's called freedom.
It's called freedom of speech, and I use it every day.
And you pay the price.
You pay the price. Okay, and you did pay the price. Okay, so like those Israel remarks that you made, and I want people to see what it is we're talking about. So let's watch.
Any comments on Israel? We're asking everybody today. Any comments on Israel?
Tell them to get the hell out of Palestine.
Ooh. Any better comments?
Helen is one.
Remember, these people are occupied, and it's their land. It's not German, it's not Poland.
So where should they go? What should they do?
They go home.
Where's the home?
Poland.
So the Jews,
Germany.
The Jews go back to Poland and Germany.
And America and everywhere else.
So when you look at that, when I watched that and when I saw it in the first place, I thought to myself that is an insensitive remark, that Poland and Germany are the exact places that the Jews were put into concentration camps, and that at the very, very least...
We fought World War II. I had two brothers, many relatives.
Right.
There hasn't been the persecution since World War II. You don't take other people's land.
But but do you see the insensitivity of the remark that?
No, I didn't realize it would ring that many bells because they've been free ever since.
I know, but Germany and Poland, you didn't pick, Alaska. You picked Germany and Poland.
I should have said Russia too.
Well, Russia had its share of anti-Semitic pogroms also, but...
They also had 25 million who died in World War II.
That's true. But I'm trying to...
More than that.
Yeah, so, I mean, Germany, Poland, Dachau, Auschwitz, we're talking about...
And the United States.
And the United States what?
I said he said, where should they go? I mean, they didn't have to go anywhere, really, because they weren't being persecuted anymore, but they were taking other people's land.
You're talking about the Israelis?
Of course.
Do you consider yourself anti-Semitic?
Hell no.
You do not?
I'm a Semite.
You're a Semite yourself?
Of Arab background.
Well, I know you're Lebanese background, right? But you're not Jewish.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, no, you say I'm just trying to clarify.
They're not Semites. I mean, most of them are from Europe.
The Jews?
Yes.
Well... Okay, but I'm trying to see, if you had a chance to redo the comment, what would you say now?
Why do they have to go anywhere? They're not being persecuted anywhere.
The Israelis? Mm-hmm. Okay. Why do they have to go anywhere?
The Jews.
Well, the question was, any comments on Israel? That's what the question was. And you said, tell them to get the hell out of Palestine.
Right.
And then the rabbi who was interviewing you said, any better comments? And you said, remember, these people are occupied, and it's their land, not Germany's, not Poland. So where should they go, he said. What should they do? And you said,
go home. Why do they have to go anywhere? They aren't being persecuted. They don't have the right to take other people's land. Under international law, occupied land should not be annexed.
But then maybe you should have said, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but maybe you should have said, well, the Israelis should stay in Israel, but you said they should go back to Poland and Germany. That's what got you in trouble, Helen.
He said, where should they go?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it did get me in trouble. Everything is distorted, but I don't care, you know.
You don't care at this point?
No, at hell, no.
Okay. All right. Well, you got a lot of criticism for it. How did you deal with all of that criticism?
We have organized lobbyists in favor of Israel. You can't open your mouth. I can call the President of the United States anything in the book. But if you say one thing about Israel, and you're off limits.
Well, that's what happened to you. I mean, the Society of Professional Journalists retired the Helen Thomas Lifetime Achievement Award. They said no individual worthy of such honor should have to face this controversy. No honoree should have to decide if the possible backlash is worth being recognized for his or her contribution to journalism. Are you offended by that?
By what?
The fact that they will not give this, this award to anybody in your name?
Well, I mean, that's their decision, but I think it's stupid. Has nothing to do with my views about Israel. My achievements in journalism are a little separate.
So you have no regrets about what you said, even though they...
I have regrets that everybody's misinterpreted it and distorted it. And you have the Ari Fleischer and Abe Foxman distorting everything. So I certainly knew that, and I should have kept my mouth shut, probably.
But you still don't feel that it was insensitive in any way?
No.
No.
I'm sensitive about the Palestinians being pushed around, knocked on the door at 3 o'clock in the morning. Get out of this house in 24 hours. 3 generations in refugee camps.
Okay.
Pushed from their homes.
I see. But you see the other side of it. The other side of it is that the Jews are sensitive because of the history they have in the 20th century.
Everybody's sensitive when they're being pushed out of their homes.
Well, but the 20th century was particularly cruel to the Jewish population.
Yes, it was.
In Europe, in Germany,
my
and Poland.
family went through World War II. We were very sensitive. All of us were there. Every American was there.
But did your family go to a concentration camp?
No.
No. Well, that's the difference. That's the point.
The difference is that count how many thousands of Palestinians are in jail now, thrown from their homes. 1 million refugees. Is that sensitive?
Everybody's got sensitivity points here.
Right, you're right.
Okay.
I'd like to point that out.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little politics and about your new job. Okay, Helen? All right, stay right there. I'm back with Helen Thomas. Okay, let's talk a little politics about current things that are happening. Okay. I mean, President Bush, W. Bush, just had to cancel a trip to Switzerland because they were saying they would prosecute him for war crimes. I mean, do you think he deserves to be prosecuted for war crimes?
I think that he certainly should not have started the war against Iraq. There was no reason, and they were based on falsehoods. And thousands are dead. Americans and Iraqis. You have to have some blame for that.
And his cohorts, Rumsfeld and Cheney, were at the CPAC thing the other day, and people were yelling war criminals at both of them. Do you think that they're war criminals?
It's not for me to judge. I think that they made terrible mistakes, and they were so costly for humanity.
Okay, so you're not going to say that they're war criminals? You wouldn't say that?
I don't think that's my judgment.
Okay. Well, it was somebody's judgment. They yelled it out right there.
Yeah,
at a conservative,
that's all right. Thank God they have the right to yell.
That's right. Right, and basically Cheney shut them down with, be quiet and shut up.
I think that nobody should take us to war on falsehoods.
Now, you've covered the White House for 50 years. I mean, first of all, you were there when JFK was president. I wonder, did people know about all of his shenanigans, all of his carrying on with other women that we know now?
In those days, only men talked to men. I mean, the Secret Service knew, and there were all kinds of rumors. But journalism was different then. You didn't really harp on anyone's personal life unless it really affected the national affairs and their public office.
They kept it quiet in those days, but look at what they did to Clinton because of that Monica Lewinsky
Well, the world
scandal.
has changed. I mean, the whole sex revolution of the 60s changed everybody's mentality. The whole barred. We have tabloids. Even if the mainstream press would have avoided the story, they would write it, and you'd have to jump on it.
Yeah, things have changed. And President Obama, do you like him? Do you think he's doing a good job? We started out the conversation before about it a little bit.
I think he lacks courage.
He lacks courage.
And he's not a liberal. I had hoped he was. I suppose I thought he was, because he was black, I thought he would automatically
Well, that was your mistake.
That was my mistake. I thought he'd be liberal.
Can't judge a person by the color.
Absolutely, you're so right. But I really thought that he would have an empathy for all the blacks, what they had gone through in life.
Well, I think he does have empathy, but he's up against a Republican machine, and he has to get reelected. You know, I mean, he's in a tough spot. Doesn't he have to get reelected? He needs the middle, doesn't he?
You take a stand on something in your life, you should have principle and stick to them.
Okay, now you've got this new job where you're writing for this newspaper. Let's see this paper. The Falls Church News Press in Virginia. How did that come about?
I gave unsolicited advice to press secretaries.
Uh-huh.
And the new one.
Jay Carney. How do you think he's going to do as press secretary?
He'll do well in the first 2 days.
And then what'll happen?
God knows.
They'll eat him up.
Then they get mad at the press, even though he's been a member of the press. They become taking it all very personal.
They get a little hostile. Who was the most hostile one? Ari Fleischer?
He was one of the worst.
One of the worst. And who was one of the best?
Gary TeHorst, he lasted 1 month.
Who did he...
President Ford. He was President Ford. Yes, two of his friends came to the White House and said, we understand that President Ford has sent an emissary to San Clemente to give a pardon to Richard Nixon. It was denied at the White House, and he couldn't handle that because he had great integrity and credibility, and so he had lied to his...
I see. Do you think Nixon was the worst president of the 20th century?
No, I think Bush was.
George W. Bush. Well, that's saying...
21st century.
Well, he went into that one. That's right, 21st, right. But Nixon was the worst of the 20th.
Oh.
And so far, you think George W. is the worst in the 21st century. Okay, you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Helen Thomas. We'll be right back. Thank you, Helen.